All right, as the Republican Party continues to struggle, some of them are beginning now to sound silly. Rush Limbaugh suggesting that Sarah Palin is, quote, the most prominent and articulate voice for good old-fashioned American conservatism. Recalling those disastrous interviews Miss Palin did with Katie Couric on the CBS Evening News during the campaign, articulate is not the word that immediately pops into my mind. But the leader of the Republican Party, that would be Rush Limbaugh, he thinks differently. Limbaugh also insists that some Republican leaders hate, despise, and fear Sarah Palin, along with finding her embarrassing. The embarrassing part I understand. He's referring to that new group formed by old Republicans called the National Council for a New America. It's made up of folks like Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney and Bobby Jindal and John McCain, all working to rebrand the GOP. Limbaugh says it's nothing more than an early campaign event being held by a bunch of Republicans who have what Limbaugh calls presidential perspirations, while some members of this council for a new America are calling for doing away with the Reagan era and finding a more forward-looking message. Limbaugh says a lot of that talk is code, meant as a knock on Sarah Palin, who is conspicuously absent from the National Council for a New America. How can this be? Well, don't you know, once again, Limbaugh speaks, the Republicans snap to attention and salute. No sooner had he said all this stuff than Congressman Eric Cantor announced that Sarah Palin has finally accepted an offer to join the National Council for a New America. Go figure. Here's the question. Rush Limbaugh says Sarah Palin's the most prominent, articulate voice for conservatism. Is he right? Go to CNN.com/Cafferty File and post a comment on my blog. Wolf?
See you in a few moments, Jack.
Question this hour. Rush Limbaugh says Sarah Palin's the most prominent, articulate voice for conservatism in the country. Is he right? Jamal in St. Petersburg, of course he's right. He's Rush Limbaugh. He knows everything. I mean, can anyone tell me how a mere radio talk show host can control the Republican Party and wield more power than the chairman, Michael Steele? And if he says the mavericky, beautiful wolf assassin whose foreign policy experience is comprised of seeing Russia from Alaska is the best hope for conservatism, well, then she must be. Kay writes, Palin makes Bush look like a genius. Need I say more, except that Limbaugh's an arrogant jerk who ought to just zipper his ugly, hate-mongering lips. Steve in New York says, Jack, why do you keep bringing up Palin? Do you know how many thousands of emails we get when I mention her name? You sure like to rub it in, don't you? Don't you have somebody else to pick on? You should pick on some Democrats once in a while. I get sick of hearing about Palin, and I'm sure there are others in the same boat. This is like torture. Kevin in Alabama, the Republican Party has strayed from true conservatism for some time now. I think Mike Huckabee is a more viable candidate in 2012 than Sarah Palin. I seriously wish there was a conservative party for those of us who are sick of the GOP. Brandon writes, Sarah Palin's definitely prominent, if only because the TV networks choose to cover every language-mangling appearance she makes. With regards to articulate, please see my first sentence. Maggie writes, Rush is likely right and will remain so until the Republicans can get that fourth grader who interviewed Condoleezza Rice to join their party, which will finally let the world see they're trying to raise their party's intellectual level. And Barry writes, Jack, of course Limbaugh is correct. Alaska has the highest registration of Republican caribou, bear, elk, and moose in the country, and they're the only ones who understand Sarah Palin when she talks. If you didn't, that was cruel. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to my situation, CNN.com, the blog.
Whatever.
Well, yeah, whatever. Go there and find your email and have a nice night.
Well, they always do, Jack. Thank you.